Okay, so tonight we are here to talk about the Pathway to Homeownership Purchase Program. This is a partnership program between Escambia County and Pensacola Habitat for Humanity. So for housekeeping items, again, I just ask that all participants remain on mute during the PowerPoint presentation. Additionally, that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, that's a link to our website, but I've also dropped the link in the chat. So feel free to go there at any point and check out the website, and that's going to give you all the information we're going to talk about tonight. There's a copy of this PowerPoint presentation there. There's some other resources on our website and other information that's going to be key and really helpful during this presentation and also after when you're deciding whether to apply for the program or not. So wanted to show you a little bit about who Pensacola Habitat for Humanity, who we are. So we were founded here locally in Pensacola in 1981. We were spearheaded by two volunteers, Betty and James Salter. Our mission is seeking to put God's love into action. Pensacola Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Our vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. And since 1981, we've built more than 1,700 homes in Escambia and Santa Rosa counties. And I really just share that with you all to understand who Pensacola Habitat is, because it's important to understand who we are and what this program is and what it is not. So this special program is not a traditional Pensacola Habitat for Humanity home buyer or CLT purchase program. This is an entirely separate program. It's a special partnership between Escambia County and Pensacola Habitat for Humanity. There are no sweat equity requirements, and approved applicants will only need to attend the 8-hour pre-purchase workshop. So we'll talk about that in a little bit about what that means and how that process will work. But really just want you to understand that you are not buying a home. You're buying a home from Pensacola Habitat for Humanity, but Pensacola Habitat for Humanity did not necessarily build the home, and you're not required to earn sweat equity hours and other traditional requirements if you were buying a home through a Pensacola Habitat program. So start thinking about it a little bit differently than our traditional programs. If you've known anyone who's gone through the program or you're familiar with how our program works, it's going to be slightly different than that. So additionally, Pensacola Habitat is not running a background screening on applicants, and we're also not running a credit report on applicants. And that's because the lender that you will choose to work with in order to secure financing for this purchase program, they're going to be the ones that run your credit report. We're just not also running a credit report as well. And the last bullet, which is one of the more important ones, is that Pensacola Habitat is not providing primary financing, nor are we going to help you select a lender. That's really going to be the responsibility of the applicant. So the applicant must select a SHIP-approved lender to work with. Those lender standards will apply. So if you have questions about how much can I qualify for? What does my credit score need to be? What's the debt to income ratio? Those are all lender questions and not anything that me or my team are able to answer. There is a SHIP approved lender list that is available on Escambia County's website. It is also available on our website. So the website I dropped in the chat, PensacolaHabitat.org/Escambia County Homes. That website is the website you should go to again get all the information we're talking about here. In the resources section, there's a copy of the SHIP approved lender list. Okay, so now we got kind of the differences out of the way. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the qualifications and criteria for this program. So as I mentioned, the buyer is going to be responsible for securing $150,000 minimum in mortgage pre-qualification from a SHIP-approved lender. Okay, so you will look at that SHIP lender list, determine maybe what 2 or 3 banks you want to start talking to about securing financing. You'll reach out to them in order to get that pre-qualification letter that you will need when you go to apply to the program, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. And I just want to make it very clear that the buyer must remain eligible with the lender until closing. So it's not like you can just get the pre-qualification letter and then go out and increase your lines of credit and your credit score changes, because that could impact your ability in order to get the financing. So just make sure to secure that $150,000 in mortgage pre-qualification, you talk to the lender about that, and that you've got to remain eligible until you get to the closing table. Make sure you're able to contribute $1,000 in verifiable funds for closing cost. So those funds need to be cash in your bank account or money you have access to and availability for, because the lender and Pensacola Habitat will be verifying that you have those closing funds available for closing related cost. Buyers and households must be at or below 80% of the area median income, and the buyer must remain at or below 80% of area median income until closing. And I'm going to show you what those numbers are in just one moment, and they're also on our website as well. The last qualification, or on this page, the last qualification here is be a first-time home buyer per SHIP definition. And that means that applicants cannot have owned or have had ownership interest in a homesteaded property in the last 3 years. Okay, some more qualifications and criteria is applicants and households must have less than $25,000 in liquid cash assets per SHIP requirements. And what that means is liquid cash refers to money that you have on hand in your checkings and savings account that you can immediately access. Additionally, applicants and buyers must have less than $100,000 in retirement assets per SHIP requirements. Have a total household family size of 6 people or less. So that's everyone in the household, including the applicant. And if you have a co-applicant as well, there must be a total of no more than 6 people in the household. And the home must serve as your primary residence. Okay, so we talked about the household size and 80% of area median income. So that number, the top number, the 1 through 6, that's your total household number. In the blue box, it's going to be, that represents 80% of the area median income. So if you're a household of 4, so it's you, let's say a partner, a boyfriend, a husband, a wife, and 2 children, your maximum household income for the purposes of this program must be at or below $78,500. These are the 2025 limits. They just came out recently. HUD sets these income limits, and we have to abide by them because of the SHIP and the down payment assistance that's associated with this program. So this income chart is on our website. So make sure, and this is gross, so pre-tax income, pre-tax household income. And this is on our website, as I mentioned, so definitely reference that and let us know if you have any questions at any point about this. Okay, so now we've talked about the qualifications and criteria, what is different about this program. Now I want to talk about the process. So step 1, as we've already talked about, is selecting a SHIP-approved lender and getting a mortgage pre-approval. So again, make sure we know that it's a minimum of $150,000 in a mortgage pre-approval. This comes in the form of a letter, so you'll need a copy of that, and you will actually upload that and attach it to your application in the portal. And we're going to talk about the application process and the portal here in just a moment. Number 2 is to gather all required documents. So there is a an application document checklist on our website. Since I'm hosting you all virtually, I can't hand you a paper copy of that. So go to our website, and under the important documents section or resources section, there is a PDF, a document there that's called application checklist. And make sure you look at that checklist and understand what documents are required and that you must have in order to submit your application. So it's all listed there for you. And I just want to make it clear that we do not accept screenshots or photos of required documents. So tax returns, pay stubs, benefit award letters, child support statement letters, those have to be a downloaded version of the document and not a picture or a screenshot in a portal. So just make sure that you download the copy of that. If you have questions, we're here to help you. But we wanted to talk to you about this a couple of weeks before the application portal opens. So you can start to gather those documents in advance. I do want to point out that we do accept clear and legible pictures of a valid photo ID or driver's license. So a state ID or driver's license, you can take a picture of that in social security cards, which are a requirement for everyone in the household. So make sure if you are missing social security cards, you don't have those for maybe yourself or someone in your household, now's the time to apply for those cards, that you have them and can submit and upload them and attach them to your application. So just make sure when you are taking pictures of items that they're very clear and legible. I can read everything. It's not blurry. It's not a dark picture, because we have to be able to see and read the document in order to accept it. And as I mentioned, we really are recommending that you get all these documents together in advance and you save them in a digital folder on your phone, on Dropbox or Google Drive, somewhere where you can access them really easy for when the application portal opens. You have everything ready in advance and you're not scrambling to try to find documents when you're trying to get your application submitted. So just to recap, so first step, you're going to select a ship approved lender. 2, you're going to make sure you're gathering all those required documents, and that document checklist is on our website, as we've mentioned. And then 3, you're going to apply online at our portal, which is apply.pensacolahabitat.org. The portal will open on May 7th. That's a Wednesday at 8 a.m. Well, I want to be very clear that this is a first come, first serve purchase program. There are only 14 homes available through this program, and there's been a lot of interest. So make sure you're prepared in advance. You have an application account, and we're going to get to that, a portal account. We're going to get to that in just 1 second. You've got all your documents together, including that ship approved lender letter, and you're ready to go. And really just want to make sure that you're submitting a complete application, as only complete applications will be processed and put in line for these homes. Okay, so once you've submitted everything, you've gone into the portal, let's say you submitted everything perfectly because you gathered in advance, your file is going to be reviewed by the Pensacola Habitat program staff. When the application is marked complete, a position number is assigned to the application. So if you're the third person to submit a complete application, no items are missing, I can read all the pictures you've uploaded, you've correctly uploaded the PDF downloaded version of the required documents, your application will be assigned number 3. Again, your application is only going to be marked as complete and in line when the application is filled out completely and you've uploaded all the required documents and everything is there. If the application is incomplete or is missing documents, Pensacola Habitat staff will contact you through the message feature in the application portal. So log into the portal frequently, make sure you check it often, you know where you're at in the process, what's going on, did I submit everything? There is a timestamp feature in this portal that I'll show you in just a little bit to show you what it will look like when you've successfully submitted the application. And again, you're not in line or assigned a position number until the application is complete. We recommend that you or a trusted family member or friend log in frequently to check for updates. So just make sure you continue to log into the portal throughout the process to make sure you're not missing any messages, you didn't miss anything, and you've got everything submitted. Really want to make sure everyone understands that Pensacola Habitat program staff, we're only available for assistance and in office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you need something or you have questions and you're calling me on Friday at 5 p.m., there will be no one here to provide assistance. So make sure you communicate frequently and often. It's understanding it's during business hours, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But we're only here 40 hours during the week. Okay. So we've submitted the application, we're in that first 14, we're submitted, we're complete. We're going to contact you through the message center and with a phone call about what number your application is. And then we're going to invite you to attend an open house based on the size home that the applicant qualifies for. There are both 3 and 4 bedroom homes available through this program. and your family size and your household size will be confirmed at time of application. Maximum household size, again, just to reiterate, that is 6 people, no more than 2 people per bedroom. I provided a couple of different examples of what household composition and bedroom size looks like. So if you're just one person, you're obviously eligible for a 3-bedroom because that's the smallest size home that we're offering through this floor plan or through this program, excuse me. If you are an applicant and then you have 2 children, let's say in the situation, a minor daughter who's 4 and a minor son who's 6, you would be eligible for a 3-bedroom home. If, let's say, our applicant is married, so it's the applicant, a co-applicant, and then there's some other children. So there's a minor daughter that's 4, a minor son that's 6, and a daughter that's 6. That is a 3-bedroom, okay? Because the minor daughters are expected to share a room. The last example is if there's an applicant and a co-applicant from that above situation, a minor daughter that's 4, a minor son that's 5, a daughter that's 6, and then let's say you have a minor son that's 16, that is a 4-bedroom sized home. So if you have questions about what household or what home size your household would be eligible for, talk to us separately offline about that. We're happy to answer any questions about your specific situation so that you understand before you apply to the program what size home you would be eligible for through this program. Okay, so if you're in that first 14, we've contacted you, you're coming to an open house, you've toured, let's say, all the 3-bedroom homes that are available through this program. You will select a home from available inventory, and applicants will be offered property in ranking order based only on when the application was submitted and marked as complete. So the first person will have first choice, second person, second choice, and so on. So we really are encouraging applicants to have an idea about their first, second, and third choice homes in case your number 1 is selected. And I do want to mention that the addresses, the home size, and a picture of each home is located on our website. So PensacolaHabitat.org, that website that's in the chat, you can go there and see exactly where the addresses are, the size of the home, and a picture of the home. And if you want to drive by them, you're welcome to do so. There are for sale signs in the yard. But at this time, again, we're not offering home tours until after the first 14 potential homeowners have been identified. Then you will be invited to a home tour after that. Okay, so once you've selected a home, then we will invite you to attend an 8-hour HUD-approved pre-purchase workshop. And our Pensacola Habitat staff will contact approved applicants only in order to schedule that workshop prior to closing. You can take that with Pensacola Habitat for Humanity, so we are a HUD-approved agency. However, CEII, who's also in our community, they also teach the workshop. You're welcome to attend it there as well. I will say there's been a couple of questions about, I've taken the 8-hour workshop last year or a few years ago, so that home buyer HUD-approved workshop certificate is only good for 12 months. So if you took that workshop in March of 2024, unfortunately, you will need to retake that 8-hour workshop so that the certificate is in good standing and SHIP will accept that workshop. So just make sure you look at that workshop certificate, see when it was issued or given to you, and then if it's been more than 12 months ago, we'll need you to retake that. But you can take that at Pensacola Habitat or at CEII. There's also an online option, but there is a fee associated with the online one. Okay, and now we're to the point where once you've selected a home, you've attended the workshop, there will be some documents that you'll need to sign. So a purchase agreement and then the SHIP application. So Pensacola Habitat staff will work with the applicant and lender to submit the SHIP application. The applicant must always remain in contact with the lender and Pensacola Habitat during the process. And that's to make sure things continue to move along and we move towards closing, which is step number 9 and is the most exciting one of this process, is closing on your new home. So 14 people will have the opportunity to select, buy, and purchase a home through this program, and then we're going to celebrate you on that closing day. So do just want to make sure everyone understands that folks need to be aware that this is a quick process and could close in as little as 90 days. So just be prepared. in order to pay those moving related expenses. So if you're in a lease currently and you have to break a lease, how are you going to pay for that? You have to rent a moving truck. All of those, costs that are associated with moving out of an apartment or a home that you're renting and into a home that you're purchasing, those things need to be taken into consideration. And the process will not be delayed due to someone's current living situation. So we can't slow down or pause on the closing process if someone is unable to pay the costs related to closing out the lease and breaking a lease. I just say that to really start getting you to start thinking about some of these things to make sure that this is the right time for you and you're ready to, in fact, buy a home. Okay, so now we understand the process, the documents you need to gather, and kind of what the steps look like to get through this program. Now I want to turn to the online application portal. So the application portal is available and open right now at apply.pensacolahabitat.org. You can go ahead and create an account for the applicant and if you have a co-applicant, but just be aware you're not going to be able to start the application until May 7th when it opens at 8 a.m. But you should go ahead and create an account with an email address that you have access to. So don't use like I can't use my UWF students email address because I graduated from there many years ago and I don't have access to that email anymore. So just make sure you create an account with an email that you can currently use. If you have applied to Pensacola Habitat in the past through the application portal that's done online, that account is probably still active and good. So I would go ahead and try to log in. You can actually reset your password and gain back access to that account. So just make sure you go ahead and check that now. So that's a good thing to do right now. So we're going to talk to lenders, we're going to gather the documents, and then we're going to create an account on our online application portal. So just a couple of points that I want to draw attention to. So we recommend the primary applicant be the person who can consistently log into the portal. This is if you're applying with a co-applicant. So the co-applicant is going to be the person that's also legally and financially responsible for the mortgage. So make sure whoever signs up as a primary applicant is the one that's going to consistently log into the portal, check the status of the application, and message back and forth with staff when it's required. As I already said, you're going to need access to the email address you use to create the account. So just make sure you're using a valid current email address. And again, just reiterating, we are not accepting screenshots or photos of documents unless it's a clear and legible photo of a driver's license or state ID and social security cards. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water because I've been talking. Excuse me. So this is a screenshot of the application portal. And again, it's apply.pensacolahabitat.org. So where you see that big red arrow at the top, you'll see an orange register button, and you'll actually click that button if you do not have an account with us. And that's where you'll register and create an account. So you'll answer some basic questions, including your email address, creating a password for the account. And what will happen is the system will email you to verify that email address like we've been talking about. So that email will come to you, you'll click the link, and then it'll take you back to the portal where you can log in with that email address and password. There's also a little sign up button down below the email address and password login next to that second red arrow on the page, and that's where you can also click and create an account. There is a lost password button, so if you don't remember your password, if you haven't logged into the application, you haven't applied maybe since 2019 or 2020, and you forgot that password, you can actually reset it there. You can call our office and we can resend that link to you as well. And then if you did not get the confirmation email address in order to verify your email to gain access to the portal, you can actually request that confirmation email be resent to you at that bottom section that we're talking about. Okay, so this is what the portal looks like after you have logged in. So you've created that account, you've verified the email, you've logged back in. This is what the landing page will look like. And I just want to make sure everyone understands that you must apply for this application under the application that says Escambia County Pathway to Homeownership Purchase Program. Do not apply to any other program. This is the only program that you need to apply to if you're interested in these 14 homes. If you apply to the Pensacola Habitat for Humanity Plus Community Land Trust program, I will have to withdraw that application and you'll have to start over. So make sure Escambia County Pathway to Homeownership Purchase Program is what you're clicking on when you're going to apply in the portal on May 7th. If you log into the portal now, you cannot access this application because it's not gone live yet. Okay, so now we're to the part of the presentation where I'm going to just share some screenshots with you from the portal. I'm not going to read out every question because, again, this PowerPoint presentation is available on our website, but I just want to give you an idea of some of the questions that we're asking in each section. So this is really a yes/no section. So we're just identifying some general eligibility, that you're at least 18 years old and you're legally able to enter into a contract. I am a U.S. citizen or permanent legal resident. Then we're asking some other questions about, do you have a pre-qualification letter from an Escambia County shipped approved lender? And some other questions about general eligibility. So just make sure you answer those correct and true, as we will be verifying this information. Next is applicant information. So this particular applicant does not have a co-applicant. But if you do have a co-applicant, then they'll be listed as yes. And then your basic applicant information will be here. So date of birth, social security number, marital status, and then there is a question about veteran status if you are a veteran or currently serving in the military. Again, this example does not have dependents, but if you do have dependents living in your household, they'll be listed here. So you'll need to fill out their first name and last name and then their date of birth for each dependent in your household. We'll collect information about your current address. So this person's living on 123 Main Street in Pensacola. They've been there since January 1st, 2023, and they're renting this home. So you'll just enter in your current living situation where you're currently residing at, your current address. Section 5 is where it turns to employment information. This red arrows here, just make sure you slow down and read the question. So are you currently unemployed? This person answered no because they're currently working. So they work at Pensacola Habitat as a program coordinator. So just make sure you slow down, you read the questions clearly. This person is also not self-employed, but if you are self-employed, there's some information that you'll enter there about your self-employment status. Section 6 is about monthly income. So this is where you'll list your gross monthly income. So that's your pre-tax income. This red arrow and red box is pointing out if there are others in your household that are currently working. So I mentioned gross household income. So if you have a minor child or a dependent living in your household that's maybe working part-time, but they still live in your household, or they're receiving Social Security or disability, all of that information needs to be listed in that others in household section. And then it'll ask you if you're receiving child support, alimony, Social Security, SSI, disability, and you'll indicate yes or no. If you indicate yes, then you'll tell us what per month you are receiving in those other income sources. 7 is source of payment. So this one's asking where you will get the money to make the $1,000 closing cost payment. This person has $1,000, so they wrote from my own cash savings. So that in their in their savings account, they have that $1,000, which is a requirement for the program. Next is asking you about assets. So this is where you'll have to list your banking information and also automobile information, because that rolls into the debt section, which is the next section after this. So this fictitious or fake application banks at my bank. They've got $1,000 in their checking account, and that's listed in their assets section. And accounts get really important because part of those required documents are all your bank account information. So we need copies of every single bank account. So I, for example, personally have 2 accounts. One I don't even have a debit card to. I just save a piece of my paycheck in this other account. I would need to upload both of those bank statements. So keep in mind when you're gathering those documents, all bank accounts, and then get all pages of those bank statements. And that should match what you list here in the bank account in the asset section. So this is the section that's asking you about your debt. This person doesn't have any debt going on except for they do have a credit card with a large balance. They make a minimum payment of $500 a month. So this is asking for your minimum required payment. So if you have a car note and you pay $340 a month for the car note, that's where you'll list that. Say you make a double payment, we just want to see your minimum payment in this debt section. So just list minimum payments for any related debt that you have that's in this section. Section 10 is your expenses. So this person has a $500 rent payment. Their electricity bill is about $200 a month. They spend about $500 on food, $80 on telephone, and they pay about $200 on auto insurance. So these are obviously fake expenses, so you'll list what yours are on average, because obviously every month you spend a little different on electricity. That's a variable expense. Food, sometimes you got good months, sometimes you spend a little bit more. So this should just be an average of what your household expenses are. This is the last of the expense section, so it's just asking about other expenses like tuition or childcare and babysitting expenses, and then it will total your income and expenses at the bottom section of this page. This is a declaration section. It's going to look very similar to the general eligibility criteria section we looked at the beginning. So it's just asking some questions about if you're involved in a lawsuit or current judgments against you, things like that. So just make sure you answer those questions clearly. You can add additional text if you need to. Or if you have additional declarations, you can let us know in the text box. And then finally, there's an authorization section. So this is where you'll type your name, your email address, your current county of residence, and then this is an already submitted application. So when you're in the process of submitting it, you'll see in the authorization and release section, a box will pop up. You'll have to scroll through the release and then accept it as you agree. So that information will appear like that when you're going through the application portal. You will then provide your electronic signature. So this applicant's name is Habitat F Humanity, and they submitted the application on Thursday, April 3rd at 2:43 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, so the information for government monitoring, which is section 13, I did skip over that. That's because it's really just private information that you'll submit about like demographic information, so race, gender, ethnicity. So just make sure you answer that as clearly as possible, and that will be section 13. 14 comes to required documentation. So this is all those things that we've been talking about. So you will need to upload your pre-qualification letter, your 6 months of bank statements, 2 years of tax returns with matching W-2s, a valid photo identification, we talked about that, and then social security cards for everyone in the household. And then that's submitted. So that's what the application portal looks like. Just want to remind everybody that we do not accept screenshots of income documents, bank statements, Venmo, Cash App, Apple Cash, tax returns. You must provide a digital copy of these documents. We will not accept illegible or blurry photos, scans of driver's license and social security cards. So just make sure whatever pictures you take, like we've talked about over and over again, that they're clear, you can read them, and my staff will be able to read them as well. Okay, so I wanted to give you some examples of what is a bad picture of a document. So someone took a picture of their 1040, and I can't even see half the document. It's cut off. There's other things in the background of the picture. The lines aren't clear. You can't read things. So for the tax returns, if you file electronically or you have a preparer file the tax returns for you, you'll be able to download electronic PDF versions of the documents. So make sure you get the clear picture, or excuse me, the clear PDF and not a picture. this picture is not acceptable, a PDF downloaded version of your tax returns is acceptable. Okay, so I wanted to show you a good example of a document, and I know it's all redacted. You can't see any of the information, but this is a PDF copy of a pay stub. It is an acceptable form because all pieces of information are clear and legible. It is not dark or difficult to read. You can clearly see all the information that we need to be able to verify on the pay stub. So just make sure, again, we're uploading PDFs and copies, not pictures or screenshots of documents. And that when we do upload pictures of our driver's license and social security cards, they're clear and legible and you can read them. Okay, so the fun part is the locations of the homes. They're in really, really, really great locations. I personally have driven by all the homes. They're all beautiful. They're really cute. They're in great areas. So again, all the addresses, this map, and all the information about the homes is available on our website. So definitely go check that out. Like I said, we encourage you to drive by, and we'll get to home tours in phase 2 of this project if you're one of the first 14 people to make it through the application submittal process with all the required documentation. These are the pictures of the homes, just so you get a good idea of what they look like. Again, the bedroom size, the square footage, the locations, that's all available on our website. So make sure you go to PensacolaHabitat.org and go to Programs, Escambia County Homes, or follow the link in the chat in order to see the locations, the bedroom and bathroom size, and the square footage of each of the homes. So here's 4 more. 4 more homes. And the last 2 homes available through this program. All right, so we're nearing the end of the presentation. We wanted to take a minute and just talk to you about the financing. I know many people might have questions about how this will work. So let's say for this example, so this is a sample only, the appraised value of the home that you're looking at buying through this program is $249,000 and $249,500. You have a first mortgage that you got from a SHIP approved lender in the amount of $150,000. There will be down payment assistance through the SHIP program up to $50,000. And a third position silent mortgage, it's non-amortizing, which means you're not making payments on it, in the amount of $48,500. And you, the buyer, the potential buyer, will contribute $1,000 towards the closing cost. And that gets you to that sales price of $249,500. So you are only repaying on that first mortgage that you're going to get from a SHIP approved lender. The down payment assistance and the third position silent mortgage, you are not making payments on those. They do matter if and when you choose to sell your home, but we can answer any questions about that if you have questions here in just a moment. And I just want to, again, draw your attention. This is a sample. Each buyer's numbers will be different based on factors that can only be determined once you do select your future property. Okay, we want to make sure we empower our community on your rights as a consumer. So the Federal Fair Housing Act ensures equal access to housing and mortgage loans and prohibits discrimination based on protected classes. Those protected classes are race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin. There's also the Florida Fair Housing Act, FFHA, which mirrors FHA and offers the same protections, but then it adds also marital status as a protected class and does require accommodations for disabilities. There are some protections for home buyers. So there's no refusal to sell or rent based on discrimination, no steering or blockbusting by real estate agents, and of course, fair mortgage lending practices. If you have questions about any of this, you can talk to our Pensacola Habitat staff. We do have several HUD certified housing counselors that can answer any questions about this. We also want you to know that if you do have a complaint, you can file that with the Escambia Pensacola Human Relations Commission. Their telephone number is 850-754-1500, and also with HUD, which is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.